The transfer portal is on fire right now. It is scorching. We're not even a week into the floodgates being open, and players are dropping left and right, finding their next destination. And one player that should commit very soon is former Kentucky wide receiver Barion Brown. He was a 3-year starter for the Wildcats, put up some really good production in special teams, and now he's looking for one more year to break on out before he goes to the NFL. The SEC is heavily involved, so who are the teams that should be going after the Nashville native? Let's break it all down. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. It's Cole Thompson here. Make sure that you like the video, hit that ring notification, and of course, smash the subscribe button because we talk college football every single day. Make sure that you follow us on social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. If you want to follow me, that way the back and forth banner can continue. It's at Mr. Cole Thompson. Check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com and download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at RHOBACK. The holiday season's right around the corner, so what better gift to give someone in your life than a RHOBACK pullover, a RHOBACK fleece, a RHOBACK hoodie, a RHOBACK pair of pants or shorts, and you can do so by going to RHOBACK.com, using the promo code SECU for 20% off your very first purchase. 20% off RHOBACK.com when you use the promo code SECU. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and we here at SEC Unfiltered want to get back to you this holiday season. Barion Brown's a really good wide receiver. Don't let the stats fool you. It was an underwhelming year for everyone in Lexington, but he can make plays. In 3 years, 122 receptions, 1,500 plus yards, 11 touchdowns. He also had 6 total returns for touchdowns on kickoff. He averaged 29.5 yards per play. So that's a dude that's going to bring multitudes of value to your team, which is why many a roster is after him. There's a couple of teams with the ACC. There's a couple of teams with the Big 10. There's a couple of teams with the Big 12. And there are some teams with the SEC. There's actually a prediction for one team to land him. But who are some other front runners that should at least be in the conversation? For starters, I go Missouri. Let me break this down. Missouri is going to lose Theo Wease, and they're going to lose Luther Burden. I think they're going to bring in a transfer portal quarterback. The thing that you need is a dynamic relationship with a veteran to be the stabilizer. I like Marquise Johnson. I like some of the younger players that are currently on the Mizzou roster. But I feel like that you need a difference maker. You need a guy that can be a vertical threat, somebody that is not afraid to go up for balls, 50-50, turn them into 70-30 in favor of him. I think that you also need just that overall veteran leader inside of a locker room. You're trying to still be a 10-win team. And I'll be completely real. As long as you have that schedule, with the pieces that are currently in play, I believe Missouri can. I think that when you look at now, they get to host a team like Texas A&M, host a team like Alabama, host a team like South Carolina. That's going to bode well in their favor in Como. But you need to have the significant weapons surrounding whoever is your starting quarterback, whether that be a Miller Moss, whether that be a Caden Salter, whether that be simply a Sam Horde or Zollers next year. You got to be able to give yourself some consistent weapons. Theo Wease left Oklahoma. He came on into Mizzou. He became a better player because of it. Maybe Barion Brown does the exact same thing. Speaking of Oklahoma, they need a number 1 wide receiver. We have no idea who's their starting quarterback right now. Ben Arbuckle came on down from Pullman, Washington, but we do not know if John Mateer is following him. So they're going to be in the portal. They're going to be adding somebody. I don't know who it is, but they've lost everybody. You have Deion Burks. He's not planning on leaving anytime soon, or at least he hasn't entered the portal yet. You got until like December 28th to make that decision. But you lost Brennan Thompson. You lost Jalil Farouk. You lost Nick Anderson. You lost literally everybody else. So you need a number 1 wide receiver. If this offense is going to be humming, they got to be able to extend plays downfield. And the thing about an offense led by Ben Arbuckle is they can't be afraid to uncork one. They love running the football, but they love running the verts. They love having the pure straight line speed. That's Barion Brown. This is a dude that can easily win with the 4.4 speed at the line of scrimmage, break on past any defensive back, and put himself in a great situation for 6 points. Ben Arbuckle needs his go-to guy. I think Deion Burks can be that go-to guy. But I feel like that when you're running a 3 wide receiver set with the tight end play being especially involved, a young quarterback or a quarterback that maybe doesn't know the intricacies of the offense, or maybe doesn't know the SEC, you need a playmaker. That's where I think a guy like Barion Brown comes in. Ole Miss has got to be in play. Now, a lot of people in Ole Miss probably don't like Barion Brown. Why is that? Well, there was a play on 4th and 6 against a Wildcat team that if they don't convert, Ole Miss is in the playoff right now. He was on the receiving side of that. In fact, he was the reason why you talk about Ole Miss being out of the college football playoff. So if you missed the college football playoff because Barion Brown kept you out, why don't you just go ahead and bring him on in? That's would be my 2 cents. You're losing multiple wide receivers. No more Juice Walls, no more Jordan Watkins, no more Trey Harris. You got to get an enforcer. You got Caden Lee. Caden Lee's a dude. You got Cunningham, the 5-star from your state. He's going to be a dude. But I feel like you just need that veteran. And again, there's proof of concept here. If I am going into the transfer portal and I am a wide receiver or a defensive back or an offensive tackle, I would like to know that wherever I'm going, I'm leaving better because of it. I'm going to leave on pretty good hands if I go to Lane Kiffin's system because everyone seems to. Trey Harris was a no-namer when he left Louisiana Tech. He's going to be a top 50 pick in this year's NFL draft. You look at other guys like Dayton Wade when he came on in from Western Kentucky. Had a breakout solid year as the number 3 pass catcher in 2023. Same thing for a guy in Jordan Watkins when he left Louisville. And multiple other defensive players are probably going to hear their draft stock rise because they simply were a part of what was going on at Oxford. I see a proof of concept there. I want to be a part of that. I feel like that's a go-to fit for me. Florida is another one. I honestly think that if there is any option for Florida to land a wide receiver, the best fit is Dane Key or Barion Brown. So whoever from Kentucky is not going to go to the school I'm about to name should probably go to Florida. That's just my 2 cents on it. You got a young quarterback. More importantly, you got a quarterback that has shown you the growth to be able to lead the expectations of 2025. This is a team that's not going to sit by idly. They're going to be a player in the college football hunt. They are. They're going to be looking for 9 wins, 10 wins, getting victories over Texas A&M, Miami. They want to show that this is the team that was promised by Billy Napier. How do you do that? Building around your quarterback. That means bringing in the right offensive linemen. That means bringing in the right tight ends. That means bringing in consistent wide receivers to replace the guys that are currently departing the program, like Shamir DK, like Elijah Badger. You got to be able to get those personnel members inside the huddle. And I think a guy like Barion Brown, where you're saying, hey, run 60 yards down the field and just watch as Aiden Mizell is taking the top off of defense on the opposing side. One of you is making a catch for 6 points. DJ Lagway en route to New York City. That's a pretty good, convincing selling point for me. But number one, and the team that has been predicted, the crystal ball prediction's already out, and I do think that he fits the system extremely well, it's LSU. LSU needs to get that difference maker if Kyron Lacey decides to leave. They're still going to have Aaron Anderson. They're still going to have Xavier Thomas. They're still going to have some young up-and-comers from the last recruiting cycle. But I do feel like when you lose a Mason Taylor, when CJ Daniels goes into the transfer portal, when Kyron Lacey, we don't know what he's going to do at this point, you can be that guy. And I do love the fact that you get back Garrett Nussmeier. I personally believe that he is going to be the best quarterback in the SEC going into 2025 of the veterans. Now, if you throw in like a DJ Lagway, Nico Iamaleava, Lenore Sellers, that's a completely different story. But from the veteran standpoint, guys who have been doing this for a while, that's QB1. And I do believe that there is a shot that LSU could go on a run to the college football playoff. There's a lot to like about him in that sense. I think the other thing that's really important here is that when you're getting a guy such as Barion Brown, you're not just getting a wide receiver. You're getting someone to be highly involved in special teams. And special teams may make or break you. I mean, go back and watch that game against Texas A&M. The kicking was horrendous in the second half, and that allowed the Aggies to capitalize at Kyle Field, work their way back in, and eventually secure a double-digit victory against the Tigers, and ultimately put LSU on the downward spiral toward finishing 8-4 rather than finishing 10-2 or 9-3. And being in the hunt for the college football playoff. Because remember, they had a non-conference loss, so that wouldn't have affected their record the way it affected a team like, say, Alabama or a team like South Carolina. Regardless, if you can get yourself a number one wide receiver and one that can show you with speed, accuracy, pretty good route running, a solid catch radius, pretty good route tree, I can come on in and be a Bayou Bengal and a difference maker for the Bayou Bengals. I'm going to take my shot. I think he fits what Death Valley is looking for. I think he fits what LSU's offense needs for Joe Sloan passing attack to take the next step forward. I think that you're going to see Garrett Nussmeier once again get consideration for the Heisman Trophy with the right personnel around him. The right personnel includes a guy like Barion Brown. Ultimately, this is where I think he lands. Baton Rouge is getting a stud. And if he ends up breaking out the way that I see fit, he may fall in the pathway of being a next number one from wide receiver U. But let me know in the comment section down below, where do you think Barion Brown ultimately lands? Do you see him being a factor for LSU? Maybe it's Ole Miss, maybe it's Oklahoma, Missouri, Florida. Like, rate, review, subscribe. Make sure that you're following us on all the social channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. And make sure you check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. I'm Cole Thompson. Until next time, folks, just remember, college football is just free agency.